Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. M.P. Stija, retired recently from the Department of Library and Information Science, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Topic for discussion is the mapping of knowledge in different systems of classification all over the world. As you know, knowledge is a system, and like every system, it is growing, it is expanding. And with the growth, its structure is also changing. Also, the structure of knowledge has been perceived differently in different cultures and also at different times. So, the structure of knowledge is actually not absolute or constant. It is viewed from time to time as it grows and also based upon the priorities of the society. For example, in the earlier Western society, till the Industrial Revolution, theology ruled everything. Theology was the queen of all the things. Every ambitious person wanted to come into theology as there was a lot of power and prestige. But after the Industrial Revolution, it was taken over by science and technology. And now it is a computer or information technology. Similarly, in India, we have been giving much importance to spiritual and philosophical knowledge. But with the coming of time, we are also adopting the Western attitude. Now let us see how the structure of knowledge is given different shapes or viewed differently in different schemes of classification. Libraries or librarians deal with knowledge as recorded in books and other numerous media of storage and communication. Therefore, nature and flow of knowledge is important for librarians. Knowledge has been defined as sum total of recorded ideas, facts, fiction, myths, experiences, and expressed emotions conserved by the society, as you know it already. In simple words, what is known to the society and is held in its collective memory is knowledge. Knowledge is essentially public. Organizing knowledge is a core homework of librarians. It is to prepare a map of knowledge for its dissemination and to guide the library users through the maze of subjects in library houses. For organizing and mapping knowledge, it is first divided into disciplines, main classes, and then subjects, and further are made some divisions. Changing status of subjects in the universe of knowledge. Knowledge is ever growing, changing, and ever new. New subjects constantly emerge. Old subjects change their status and structure and boundaries. There is no universal pattern of all knowledge that could be all things to all users. Hierarchy is only one pattern of structure. Therefore, individual subjects change their structure, and relationship between subjects are seen in different ways. The prevailing philosophy, material culture, economic and technological needs, cosmic vision, sense of history, and values held by the society influence the status and structure of the stock of knowledge in its possession, and that is put to practice. Every age and society has a distinct view of knowledge. Even during the times of Melville Dewey, in late 19th century, philosophy and theology occupied a very respectable position. It is evident from the fact that 1/5 of space in the Dewey's universe of knowledge was occupied jointly by these two classes. Changing status of subjects in the universe. But today, the scales are tilted towards the study of natural sciences and their economic and technological implications. Sciences rule the roost and have been given the status of a national religion in some secular countries. Empirical and experimental modes of investigation are considered reliable methods to discover new knowledge and solve problems. These days, authority, faith, and intuition as sources of knowledge are looked upon with suspicion in so-called advanced countries. Thus, the status of a subject commands in a society is never constant. Some subjects, once important and at the center stage of knowledge, are now relegated to a peripheral position. Once it was industrial production which was important. Now it is the information that is more important than production. Classifications are impermanent. With the emergence of new knowledge, the status and positions of existing subjects undergo a change. Equations among the subjects are always changing and are in a flux. Classification essentially organizes knowledge and is its map. It is a tool to analyze, organize, and represent knowledge. Therefore, as the knowledge advances by filling gaps or in other ways, we need new classification or adjust and modify the earlier ones. We have not only to revise classifications but have to invent new classificatory techniques to organize new knowledge. Thus, 20th century needed new classification systems and techniques, and the 21st century may well need new classification, particularly for organizing the internet. Regarding the structure of knowledge, we need to limit ourselves to one epoch within one culture to find some firm basis for a unified knowledge. Principle for mapping of the universe of knowledge. As gleaned from different systems of classification, D.W. Langridge theoretically has found 4 principles on which all the systems of classifications are organized. And these 4 principles are as follow. And of course, they are not mutually exclusive. The first principle he gave is the ideological principle, and this includes the, let us say, Marxist classifications. And example is BBK classification devised in Russia by Vinity. Next is principle of social purpose, that what is the social purpose of life and society. And our Vedic classification, Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha, is actually based upon this principle of social purpose. Then the third is the scientific order, the order of things, how they have evolved. And these are also known as taxonomies or the scientific classifications. These exist in classifying animals, plants, and also chemical elements. And these are taxonomies which are also used in our bibliographic classifications. And lastly, the modern system of arrangement is arrangement by disciplines. And first, it was used by the Dewey Decimal classification, but nowadays all classifications such as the CCC, Library of Congress classification, and even the Writers International classification are all discipline-based. Mapping in the DDC. Manuel Dewey arranged his main classes on the inverted Baconian order formulated by his contemporary Hegelian philosopher W.T. Harris. Its first division is by discipline. Division by discipline implies that one class can collocate all aspects of a subject. Subjects or topics are scattered by discipline. The 3 great divisions produced by 3 faculties of mind are sciences, arts and literature, and history. Sciences belong to the realm of reason, art and literature to imagination, and history, of course, to memory. Rigidity, artificiality of decimal notation. The DDC has been rightly criticized for its rigidity of division by 10 at every step of its division. Major convincing argument put forth by its critics is that knowledge doesn't proliferate into patterns of 10 at every stage of its development. Growth of knowledge is not conditioned by decimal or metric system. It is an artificial and rigid procreation mold. It happened because Dewey chose his notation first and classes were formulated later. Notation became the master to dictate its own convenience. Cutter's expansive classification. Expansive classification by C.A. Cutter is important for arrangement of its classes in an evolutionary order based upon the evolution of knowledge. His broader classes are A. Generalia works, B to D. Philosophy and religion, E to G. History and geography, H to K. Social sciences, L. Sciences and Arts, M to Q. Biosciences and Medicine, R to B. Useful Arts, Technology, War, and Athletics, W. Fine Arts, X and Y. Language and Literature, and Z. Book Art or Library Science. Cutter's expansive classification. In its classification, Cutter, in natural history, it puts the parts of each subject in the order which theory assigns to their appearance in creation. Its sciences proceed from atomic to the molecular and then to the molar, from number to space, from matter and force, and then to the matter and life. Its botany goes up from cryptograms to phenograms. The book art follows the history of the book from its production through its distribution to its storage and use in libraries, and ends with their description, that is bibliography. Economics too has a natural order: population, production, distribution, consumption. They have practical value since they bring together books which one may need together at the same time. James Brown was a star librarian famous for introducing open access in libraries of England. His subject classification was the first published in 1906 and revised later in 1917 and 1939. He claimed his main classes are in order of scientific progression. He was of the opinion that order of creation in nature is matter, force, life, mind, and record. So are his main classes arranged under matter and force deal with sciences, life deals with biological and medicine sciences, mind deals with philosophy and religion, and records deal with language and literature, history, and later all bibliography. Brown's one-place theory. James Brown is famous for his one-place theory, which is to collocate a subject and its aspects at one place rather than to scatter them by discipline, as do the other classifications. With the concrete subject as the basis of its abstract aspects are placed around it. Let us take different aspects of the subject: copper, metallurgy, mineralogy, chemistry, conductivity, economics. The subject classification places these aspects together with copper. That is why it is called one-place theory. The concrete subject, copper, is placed in a science to which it belongs most clear. In this case, it is mineralogy. Similarly, apple is placed under botany. Practice follows theory. Chemical technology is placed under chemistry. But this one-place theory produces very funny and embarrassing results. Body exercises and body funerals come at the one place in this system. The experiment failed, but the lessons from Brown survive. That is, disciplines are paramount. Colon classification. Colon classification, first edition published in 1933 by Ranganathan, is a thoroughly faceted and theory-based classification. Ranganathan was very particular about the order of main classes and of facets in a class number. For him, the order is the essence of classification. He formulated some postulates and principles for order of classes in arrays and chains, and facets in the facet formula. Contrary to expectations, the order of main classes in the CC is not Vedic, it is scientific, and from the Western viewpoint. Order of main classes in colon classification. Ranganathan laid much emphasis on the order of main classes in his system colon classification. In fact, the main classes can be arranged in a triangle, and the base of the triangle contains Generalia class as well as the newly emerging classes such as library science, management science, and general knowledge, and so on. Then on the left side is given to the subjects of science and technology and denoted by A to M. And because Ranganathan gave much emphasis to science and technology, gave much space to science and technology, that's why a full arm of the triangle has been given to science and technology. And in this, we move from abstract to concrete. A, general science, B mathematics, and they are quite abstract. And then we move slowly and slowly up to M, which is useful arts. These are the crafts just like rope making, textile engineering, and so on. In between A and M, the arrangement is alternative theory and practice, theory and practice. Then at the top, you'll see delta, mysticism. Delta is actually a confluence of all sorts of knowledge. Ranganathan believed that mysticism and spiritual experience is the fountain head of all sort of knowledge. All the knowledge merges into it, and all the knowledge emerges from it. Then on the right hand side of the triangle, we move from top to down. And we start from N and go to the Z law. Actually, this triangle, this hand of the triangle has been divided into two, that is humanities and then the social sciences. In the humanities, from N to S, we move from uh, richness of contents, and then from social sciences, T to S, we move from the artificiality of sciences. And he says, Ranganathan, that Z, the law, is the most artificial of the social sciences. And it's also be noted that Ranganathan gives the first priority to science and technology, then to humanities, and then to social sciences. And these are, of course, the in the sequence of their historical developments. As science and technology was the first to develop, and then lastly came the social sciences. And we all know that social sciences as an academic and such disciplines are last to be developed. Order of classes in the Library of Congress classification. There are 21 classes in more than 40 schedules. Its outline was published in the year 1904. Cutter's expansive classification was the main guide to develop classes with which it closely resembles in broad divisions. It is a classification by discipline, but not any classification of universal knowledge. Strictly based on the literary variant, schedules were developed from the collection of the Library of Congress. Main classes were developed into subclasses denoted by two digits and are progressive from general to specific. Tailored to local needs of the world's largest library, the order of classes is even influenced by its building. It is a triumph of pragmatism. Order of main classes in the Library of Congress classification. It is believed that the Library of Congress classification doesn't lay much emphasis on the order of classes. The classes were developed as they emerged or as the books were classified. And also it is said that the order has also been influenced by the structure and architecture of the building of the Library of Congress. But however, it may be noted that most of the structure of this system is based upon Cutter's expansive classifications. And LC uses alphabets to denote classes, and the major disciplines in these are science and technology and general works from A. Then social sciences, philosophy and religion are denoted from B to H and L. Humanities are M, N, and P. Mostly music, fine arts, M and P is language and literature. Q are sciences and technologies, including R medicine, S agriculture, T technology. U military science is also technology, V is navy science, and lastly is the library science known as bibliography, that is denoted by Z. Bibliographic classification. Henry Evelyn Bliss spent most part of his life in the study of foundations of library classification. In bibliographic classification, published between 1940 to 1953, the order of main classes is based on scientific and educational consensus. He was of the view that there is an order of main classes that exists in nature and it is near to the majority consensus. The order of classes in the bibliographic classification, as we said, it has been done by consensus among philosophers. It starts with philosophy, which is the mother of all knowledge. Then mathematics is shown as part of philosophy and logic. B is physics, C chemistry, D astronomy, E, F, J biology, H. Anthropology, I. Psychology, J. Education, K. Social Sciences, L. M. N. O. or History, P. Religion, K. Social Sciences, P. is Religion, Q. Social Welfare, R. Political Science, S. Law, T. Economics, U. Technology, V. Fine Arts, W to Y. Language and Literature, and Z is Religion. Philosophy of H. Bliss. In addition to scientific and educational consensus, he also used the principle of collocation and subordination to bring together closely allied subjects. For example, sciences and their applied aspects have been placed together side by side. He also offered alternative locations for some subjects. For example, economic history could be either placed with economics or general history. Such alternative locations are quite numerous. On the other hand, his theory of consensus has come under criticism. His main classes, arranged under matter and force, deal with sciences, life deals with biological and medicine sciences, mind deals with philosophy and religion, and records deal with language and literature, history, and later all bibliography. Writer's International Classification. International classification was designed by Ferment A. Ryder in 20th century. He was an American librarian. In 1961, he self-published his international classification for arrangement of books on the shelves of general libraries. His scheme, a very broad one, has 26 main classes denoted by the Roman capitals as follows. A. Generalia, B. Philosophy and Psychology, C to I. History and Geography, J to N. Social Sciences, O. Business and Industry, P. Military Science, Q and to S. Physical Sciences and Technology, T to V. Biology, Medicine and Agriculture, W. Fine Arts, and XYZ. Language and Literature. In Ryder's system, classes have been further divided alphabetically by 3 letters, thus producing a total of 26 into 26 into 26, that is 17,576 class numbers. Ryder also announced that being broader, his scheme will not be revised. Indeed, broader scheme needs less revision. It can be described as stillborn experimental system, never used anywhere, and even forgotten by the textbook writers. It didn't synchronize with the times, being primitively enumerative schemes, borrowed administered facial system, and a broader one in times of turbulently growing knowledge needing depth classification. Its broader arrangement in social sciences, sciences and technology, and lastly, humanities. The author does not seem to have cared for any order of classes. The Bibliographic Classification, BBK, also abbreviated as LBC in the Russian language, it was designed at the end of the erstwhile Lenin State Library, Moscow, published in 3 volumes between 1962 and 1968. Its abridgment in 6 volumes and again in 1 volume published in 1976 are also available for medium and small libraries respectively. Its 21 main classes are denoted by 28 capital Cyrillic letters. Since 1977, all versions provide alternative decimal number notation. A brief outline of the main classes in BBK looks like this in the numeral notations. 1 is general and interdisciplinary knowledge, 2 sciences, 3 technology, 4 agriculture and forestry, 5 public health and medicine, 6 social sciences and military art, 7 culture and education, 80 to 84 languages and literature, 85 art, 86 religion and atheism. Its main tables are supplemented by 2 judicial-like tables of special and many common subdivisions. The system is hierarchical and faceted to some extent. As clear, natural sciences and technology had the list as could be expected from an atheist regime. These are followed by social sciences and humanities. Technology, agriculture, and medicine are aptly sandwiched between natural and social sciences. These are the bridge between sciences and society. In between, there are further hierarchical subdivisions. An estimated total of 45,000 classes are arranged in succession of their pedagogical order. As said earlier, their first place in every class is given to Marxism-Leninism. Broadly, it can be seen that the disciplines are arranged in the decreasing order of their social utility as perceived in a socialist country. The sciences move from basic to applied, abstract to concrete, whereas social sciences move from quantity to quality. Fate of this system in a capitalistic, democratic, and liberal Russia is not known, though libraries always betray heavy inertia to replace classification system once adopted. Broad system of ordering, BSO. It is a unique system in the sense that it was not designed as a conventional classification for use in libraries or classifying knowledge per se. Commissioned by UNESCO in 1971 as a roof classification for science and technology, it was elaborated by FID and Eric J. Coates with G. Lloyd and D. Simandi as a switching language to facilitate broader level interoperability of various indexing languages, library classifications, retrieval systems, information bodies, and organizations. The aim was to make them mutually compatible on a very general level. Its first versions had only 4,000 classes, elaborated to 6,800 in the third and the latest version, available only in electronic form. It includes traditional disciplines, multidisciplinary, and mission-oriented subjects which can be expanded vertically and horizontally, employing sentential and millisimal fractions. Knowledge in BSO has been presented as a clockwise cyclic structure, starting with application subjects such as 112 logic, mathematical research methods, etc. Starting at the left bottom of the circle, going to 992 esoteric practices at the right bottom. Further, 340 life sciences, 480 sports sciences on the left of the arc, while 500 humanities and social sciences and 600 technology on the right arc are high points on the circle. You can see here the sequence of subjects, and on the left, every subject is given its notation in numerals. They start with applied subjects such as logic, mathematics, research, methodology. Then come physical and biosciences, applications of life sciences, then move on to sports, social studies, technologies, arts, religion, and esoteric practices. Knowledge is sum total of what the mankind knows and is stored up in its collective memory and devices such as libraries, museums, art galleries, and so on. Knowledge is dynamic, changing, ever incomplete, and infinite. Knowledge depends upon the knower, the man. It is social in character. So its structure changes from society to society and from age to age. Study of its nature, structure, and characteristics is as important to library and information professionals as is the study of anatomy to a surgeon. Classifications map and represent knowledge and determine position and status of its various branches. Since knowledge is changing, so classification also change and present a different structure of knowledge depending upon the society and the time of their designing. No classification is neutral or permanent. All classifications present a biased or value-added structure of knowledge. So, knowledge has been mapped differently in different classification systems as perceived by their designer living in different societies and times. For example, Melville Dewey followed the inverted Baconian order of the main classes produced by the three faculties of the mind, namely memory, imagination, and reason. Major division is by discipline. C.A. Cutter followed evolutionary and scientific order in main classes in his expansive classification. Its science proceeds from molecular to molar, and mathematics from number to space. Subject classification by James Duff Brown has a very interesting order of matter, force, life, mind, and record. Main classes are arranged in the cosmic and social evolutionary order. By the way of experiment, Brown discarded the traditional approach of division by discipline. He applied one-place theory. He chose a concrete subject, say iron or apple, and brought together all its abstract aspects at one place. For example, chemistry, mineralogy, alloys, technology, archaeology, folklore of the subject iron will be brought together at the place in the schedules. Other systems such as the DDC, LCC, BC, and the CC scatter such aspects by discipline. But this one-place theory didn't yield good results to serve users' need. S. R. Ranganathan, in his column classification, uses alphabets to denote main classes and made foolproof provisions for insertion of new main classes at proper places. In the 7th edition, the number of basic subjects has grown to more than 750. He devotes half of the place A to M to sciences, which are arranged in the order of increasing concreteness. Humanities N to S are arranged in the order of increasing richness of content, while social sciences T to Z are arranged in the order of increasing artificiality. Delta mysticism and spiritual experience is the apex, symbolizing the sum and summary of the source of all knowledge. He also used concretely formulated principles of helpful sequence and facet sequence for further arrangement within the main classes. And for overall order of knowledge in the CC, H. A. Bliss, for his example, bibliographic classification based main classes on what he called scientific and educational consensus. He also gave the option of alternative locations for some of the main classes. Such an order of main classes is considered more durable. However, some philosophers rightly argue that there is no such permanent order of classes in nature. Whatever be the order of main classes in the BC has many merits. The BBK is inevitably biased towards the heavily loaded theories of now defunct Marxism-Leninism. The BSO delineates the best and thoughtful order, yet ironically it is not used for purpose of arrangement of books on the shelves. In a nutshell, there can be no universally acceptable map of knowledge. Such maps are only perceived, biased, and change with the time and place. Knowledge changes, so does its map and mapping methods.